Welcome to Modern Mind, Ancient Book, where we are going back to move forward. We're finding a love for the law, the prophets, and the writings. This is a special episode. My name is Roger. I'll be your host. We have with you today Yu Song, who is a Chinese believer. Yu Song, welcome to Modern Mind, Ancient Book.
Hey, blessings. How are you, Roger?
Very good. Thank you for joining us. We
glad to be here.
are very excited to hear your story. We've known each other for quite a while. Start from the top. Tell us all about yourself. Where were you born? What your childhood was like? All that.
Yeah, that'd be sweet to share my little story about myself. Well, it's his story in my life, right? So
that's right.
I can tell you straightforward. I was born in 1985. So right now I'm almost 40 years old. I was born in, back then, still called socialist, communist China, to, non-believer parents. They were both communist parties back then. That was a way of life when people need to, be successful in their life in that society. So I was born in the north of China, not north of China, but northern part of China, probably 2 hours from the capital city. All my parents and my grandparents, most of them are Chinese, the Communist Party member, and as atheists back then. And then when I finished my, forward really fast, when I finished my college, I was 23. And then I moved to the U.S. for graduate school. So that's the time, I first moved to a different country, and that started my the true story of my new life with Christ. So
when you were 22 or 23, you left China, and that had been the first time you had ever been outside of China?
Exactly. That's the first time I've been abroad from the mainland China.
Wow, that's significant. I mean, yeah. And you didn't make a short journey. I mean, you left China straight to the United States.
That's right. I'm surprised I didn't tell you the whole story back then. But yeah, that was that was right.
No, I've never heard. Yeah, I've never heard this story. So. Okay, so you were born a couple hours north of the capital of China, in a northern part of China. Your parents and grandparents, did you say your parents are part of the Communist Party?
Yeah, they are both. I mean, they were both, and most of my families in my extended family, including my grandparents, are, communists. So, you're right.
Oh, wow. And so, what is, help the listener understand that I'm American. I've visited other countries. We don't know anything about China, really, or Chinese culture. It's very rare that we get an opportunity to have insight or to hear a story like this. What was growing up like? Is there any religious expression? I mean, I don't want to be ignorant. I only really know a little bit about Japan or whatever, but is there some religion in the country at all, or what's it like? Like, what's the day in the life of what was the day in the life of your Chinese childhood?
Yeah, I'd love to share more. It's more, I think it's easier to expect and to imagine than you. It could be hard to believe. It's day-to-day life, like how you live in America. Like you go to school, play with your friends, get education. I mean, from what I see here, like my kids going to school and all my neighbors, I mean, I don't see huge differences in terms of the routine life, but definitely there's a huge change from at least in the 90s. People's belief system has collapsed. Like, not many things can hold them up, and keep people's confidence about the communism or any kind of social structure. So, in the last maybe 20, 30 years, there's a huge change in China.
A change meaning that people are questioning communism?
Correct.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is you will, there is a big, as a Christian, as a believer, we say that there's a God-shaped hole in everybody's heart, in their soul. And it's more so year over year as I've seen the change in China. Like, people are seeking the truth, the real truth. The truth will set you free. People are, there's less they can hold on to have a meaningful life, to have to keep people from suiciding or from get a meaning of life.
So then, when you were younger, would you say that people weren't necessarily questioning communism?
I would say so. People were quite content. In the 80s, actually, by the end of the 70s, there's a big revolution about Chinese economy. China tried to get in touch with the rest of the world, and open the border, open the trade, and from then, people gradually to see there's what's going on for the rest of the world, and there's less faith in communism, in socialism, and it's more so right now because the booming of the Chinese economy, with enrichment of your wealth, there the need for the spiritual meaning and the need for fulfillment of your calling actually from God is more even severe. And the Chinese local church, home church, get grows really fast in the last 20, 30 years, I'll say.
There's a house church movement in China.
Yep.
Because isn't there an official version of Christianity in Chinese, like that's okay or sanctioned by the communist government? And did you have any experience with that while you were in China as a younger boy?
I would say yes. There is it's called self-governed, self-maintained, whatever. I don't remember the exact term. Basically, a government official recognized Christian religion, and it's also officiated by the Roman Catholic, the Vaticans.
By the Roman, really? It's officiated by the Catholics?
Yes, and they have to appoint your pastors or your priest. I don't know. I never been part of it, but from what I heard,
they probably call them priests if it's by the Catholics, right?
I mean, they call them Christian. I don't know. It's government, supported Christian church. It's all above the ground church.
Yeah.
From what I've seen on the picture and from the report, they're more of kind of quote unquote old church. Maybe they're, not as evangelical or. And also one thing I want to mention that is I heard they don't teach Revelation and Genesis, but that must be a misnomer. Wow. I cannot be 100% sure.
I got it. So you never went to any of the official allowed religious institutions while you were in China?
That's a good question. So I only, I was saved. I was picked up by our Lord Jesus in the U.S. I mean, I do not have a lot of experience, a Christianity style, Christian lifestyle in China.
What about any other was there any other religious influence? So, like for instance, I don't know, ancestor worship, or like lighting candles, going to temples, that kind of thing. Like tell us about that. What was that like? Your family's part of the Communist Party. You grew up in a secular place, but there had to be some, traditions that have carried on and that were part of daily life, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much your whole life. Retrospect with understanding of God's wisdom and God's purpose and God's salvation program. Now, looking back, I know that, we all part of the fallen religion or a fall, the product of fall Babylon, where, my ancestors, they worship, fallen angels, for example, the local Buddhas, local fairies, and Taoism, Buddhism, and my grandparents.
Wait a minute. Did you say fairies?
Like fairies, I'll give you this example. My grandma, she is pretty advanced in Buddhism, and she visited all the holy places in her religion, all the mountains, temples, shrines, and she and my aunt, they both had the third eye open. Don't be surprised by the third eye. In all ancient religions,
enlightenment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that eye, it's nothing strange that it is a channel that opens up your spirituality and opened up your body and soul and spirit to the whole wild spiritual realm in the heavens, right? And they can see the angels. We understand as fallen angels flying around. They can see all different shapes, different type, animal-looking, like angels and spiritualities. So, they tell me the stories about what they can see, and they don't want to scare me off. So, they only give me a little, their story. But I know they are pretty, yeah.
So Buddhism led your grandmother to that. So enlightenment for your grandmother has resulted in being not only aware of the spiritual world, but having visions of it.
Correct.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Yeah. All things work for good for, the people who loves God, right? That I know that is worship the demon, but on the contrary, God used that opportunity. Know that there is a spirituality. There is the real world in the atmosphere. For me, that's mind blowing, because I imagined communism being sort of empty, like vacuous. Mm-hmm. That there was, the only thing I have seen that kind of conjures in my mind when I think of communism is like large pictures of, Chairman Mao or something, right? And like people kind of worshiping that, right? Like bowing down to it and stuff. And so I didn't realize that Buddhism was something that was allowed to exist. Is it? Yeah.
Is the communist government, are they against it? Like, do they not want it there in the country, or is it freely practiced?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. That I would say that they have a subtle relationship. They have their own romance here and there. It really depends on, the Communism Party is uh, such easy to break. How it just it's very unstable.
Okay.
It's fragile. Oh, that's what I want to say. Yeah, it doesn't have a constant attitude towards, religion. So I would say, from time to time, even with Christianity, you see that the policy it changes a lot. I think,
so it's favorable, it's disfavorable. It depends on what the Communist Party feels like the people need to stay loyal to the Communist Party. Is it kind of self-serving?
I think you got a gist of it. Basically, they have just one goal, just control people, to control. So, yeah, if they can use religion to, brainwash them, and easier for their governments, I think that's a goal.
So how influenced were you by your grandmother, for instance, while you were still young? Because I would think that her having, enlightenment, right, that she's aware of another world, in that there's obviously a different hierarchy there. Is it something that did that cause her to want freedom from communism, or is it just kind of hand in hand?
That's that's a sharp question. I would say, even the Buddhists, they want some freedom from the government too. Yes, that's true. But Buddha is so prevalent in China that the suppression is less compared to our faith here. I would say
so.
Yeah, they
Is it fair to? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue.
I'll say
no. I'd like to hear what you said. Yeah.
I mean, they have very limited control on Buddhism, as long as you follow the rule, follow the order, don't make big problem to the government, don't congregate in the public places, and all those public concerns, then you'll be okay. But also, you don't do a lot of crazy things. Like a lot of Buddhists are actually, committing suicide or homicide. Those things are not allowed. Falun Gong, the Chinese local religion, Falun Gong. That's a different topic, but I don't want to talk about it. But it's something, touching the borderline of, touching the nerve of the communists, and they got a problem.
Okay, so then it sounds like the only real religious influence in your life up until coming to the United States was Buddhism. Is that fair?
That's very fair. Buddhism, and from my hometown, there's another huge influence, the Confucianism. That my hometown is the origin of the Confucius. He created that. So
Confucius was born in your hometown?
Yeah, it's like in the field. It's just in my province. It's huge for
your
that.
Province.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So Buddhism and Confucius, the practices of Confucius. So, okay, so your past was communist, but an odd mix of religious influence as well, that the communists allowed, as long as it was compatible with what they were doing at the time. So the people needed to practice communism, and as long as the religion wasn't getting in the way, it was allowed.
Right.
And because I can only assume, because those are kind of Chinese ancestral religions, both Buddhism and the practices of Confucius were tolerated, right?
Correct. That's right. Yeah.
And so now you come to the United States, you're 22 or 23 years old. It sounds like there was a fairly heavy hand on the people, meaning you can only act a certain way, and then if not, I'm sure there were consequences. And so now you come to the United States, and that's not there anymore. What was that like?
Oh man, that was like freedom for me. You know that. Back in China when I grew up, I mean, I was kind of like oddball when people like to listen to the Chinese pop music. But however, me and a couple of friends, we always go to kind of like illegal store that carries on the Western music. Like, you start with cassette, and then you have CDs, you have MD, all those like old technologies. And then we had, we grew up with Michael Jackson, Westlife, Backstreet Boys, Justin Timberlake, all the good old times.
So you were going to a store that had American Western contraband music, and you were like purchasing that and listening to it.
Yeah, that's a huge influence to my group friends. Like we like the freedom from the West. Free. You can date freely. You can choose freely.
So you were dreaming of a life here in the United States since you were a boy.
Yeah, we're all fascinated. Hey, we should just be free and have our hobby. Hobby in China back then was like, oh no, you have something wrong with your ideology that you have hobbies, right? Like that. So yeah, you're supposed to be like just like an ant. You gotta work like a honeybees.
Work.
Yeah. You're not supposed to have like your personality. Personality was viewed
so
as...
CEOs of big companies, they don't play golf and I don't know, have hobbies. They don't do that.
I'm telling you that back in the 80s and 90s, there's no entrepreneurs, not too many. It's all state controlled. It's all Communist Party controlled. You have to follow their rule, their order, dress the same, say the same thing, behave the same way, and then you'll be the top. So not like now. Right now, if I may say that, the Chinese might not be. I mean, we all aware that it's not socialism. It's what's it called, state capitalism. I don't know. Is that the right term?
Yeah, it's like capitalized communism or something. It's definitely changing.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of things change. So.
Okay, so you came here. Now, did you come here to go to college then?
Grad school.
Grad school.
Yeah, I had so right before I came to the U.S., I had my first time encounter with Christianity, like face to face. That was back in China. I was on a bullet train. I was sitting next to an old lady. She probably my grandma's age. She was speaking with a local Chinese accent. I couldn't fully understand her, and she got she got so confident. She brought out a Bible, and in the little cabin of the train, people, like 6 people around the same table, and we were just mocking and just do not want to listen to her. And that was my first experience with the Bible, unfortunately.
So when the first time you had heard anything from the Bible, you were not receptive to it.
Because
in fact, you were you attacked her for it.
Correct. Because I was very atheistic.
Atheistic, yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Do you remember what she was preaching from by chance, or what she was teaching?
I do not. I really don't. But
your mind wasn't even in it at that point, right? You were just like,
I only remember
Wow.
that I was thinking, oh, I'm an educated person. I'm so cocky. I have a bright future. I can do whatever I want. So that was I can tell you later what the consequence of that, but good and bad. So
I'm sure there was both good and bad. God doesn't allow that to last for long, does he?
yeah.
So you come here, you go to the United States, you start your master's program, and it had to be, and forgive me because I don't know for sure, but it had to be InterVarsity or Navigators or something like that influenced you, or that you first met you. Is that right?
You're so smart. Great guess. That was the IV. That was my
InterVarsity.
correct. Yep. I mean, it's both IV and a local Chinese evangelical church in Rochester, Michigan. So,
Okay.
I would say, yeah, that's my, the life impact influencing two groups back then.
And so what was it like the second time you started hearing the Bible or things about Jesus? And, do Chinese people see Christianity as a Western religion?
I mean, of course, right? You think about, all right, now we're still talking about the old life. So in the 1800 or 1900, I don't remember. When the missionaries came to China, it came also, with enthusiasm, and it came with technology, humanitarianism. It came with all the, Western ways of life, and also with drugs, with opium and stuff.
Yeah.
So Chinese back then had a history associating Christianity with Westerners, white people, especially, capitalism and imperialism. Is that a word? With
Imperialism.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's shocking to me to hear that though, because it's a Middle Eastern religion.
That's right. I know that you have a big passion of bring the whole truth, the real truth.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to hear that, because it just means we've redefined it, and in a way that's not flattering to Jesus. It's
historical, right?
It's so hard for me.
Because Christianity really booming from European. So, unfortunately, the Messianic, the Jewish Christianity is a really important fact, but not many people realize that.
Not many people know about it. Yeah. Okay, so you meet with InterVarsity. You meet at this local evangelical Chinese church. So there's a Chinese community of people here who have come out from under atheism. Yes. You somehow hook up with them. How did you meet a group of Chinese people that came out of atheism when you didn't like that idea and you mocked it just previous to coming?
So that'll talk about the love of Christ, or the acceptance and the just embracement of His love. At first I said, I'll just go and see what's going on, because they've been inviting all the new international students a lot. So I didn't go the first time, the second time, but I think that after a month or so, I said, okay, just check it out. And also, I've been hanging out with the InterVarsity friends. So it's kind of gradually melting me down. Just God is gradually just taking off all my fences. So it became natural for me just hang out with Christians. Seeing people are so friendly, living so freely, express their ideas and their beliefs so freely, that's very encouraging. And especially, the love, the confidence in Christ, the hope in Him, that gave me a lot of inspirations. Because at the time, I was hopeless, kind of. I just I just don't know what to do, where to go, what's the plan for life, what's the purpose. So that was the time of my spiritual vacancy. Really speak out. I said, yeah, I want to try it out. So,
So you found the freedom to explore, and in the exploration, you met people whose witness is what led you to soften. It was the kindness of the stranger who became the friend, and then realizing that the friend loved Jesus, and Jesus became that much more attractive to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. His hands and feet carried you.
Amen. And the first time I met with university on campus, people are just so outgoing and so just like sunshine into my life. And the second time they said, hey, come with us. They hang out, worship. And I said, what is worship? I said, you know. And then I went with them, and they sing a lot of like Chris Tomlin, because that was popular back then. I think still, now. But and it was like, wow, that's a great music. Even though it sounds like very religious, but even though I don't understand a lot of the lyrics, but it just sounds very, very warm, very dear to my heart. And then I still remember all the songs back then.
Wow. So tell me the moment that you knew that you were going to serve Jesus.
I think that's a tough question. There's revelations and tears here and there, but I think a couple moments I can share with you. There's a special moment when I went to a retreat with university right after the first year of grad school in the summer. We went to UP. For the people who doesn't understand, UP, it's up north Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. And we had, there's a Christian camp, a private property that has, I think the owner has a big lake, not the Great Lake, but big lake, a bunch of cabins, a lot of fields and woods. And so we went there. That was my first time, the first time camping and being outside. In China, there's no like wildlife. I mean, in the city. At the night, we had bonfires, of course, but there was a worship song. I think everybody knows her, Carrie Job or Carrie Joby. She has a famous song, Revelation song, that's based on the book of Revelation, and the Revelation song talk about the holy throne of Jesus. The worthy is the Lamb who was slain, right? That at that time, I do not even dare to say Jesus is my Lord. But when I sing the song, there is a heavenly picture. Even though I don't read the book of Moses yet, I don't know what the tabernacle looked like. But the Revelation song gave me the image of the heavenly throne, and gave me the Lamb who was slain, who has a sharp stain of blood on his neck. I use her because I image the Lamb as a very feminine, but on his neck, man, that was shocking. That was shaking to my bone was shaking. And then the pastor called people to the altar who want to believe in Jesus. And I went, and I think that was my time. If I'm not wrong,
So Can I interpret this for just a second? So it sounds like to me, Jesus presented himself to you as your bride, as the love of your life, the one who gave his life for you, and that changed you. You met Jesus face to face through a song at a retreat in a vision. Is that a fair interpretation?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's.
Yep.
If you don't say that, I would just think, well, that's my vision. But actually, yeah, I met him in person, even though I don't see him face to face.
Because he lives.
Yeah.
He didn't die. He gave up his life to save us. And then he rose, becoming the conqueror of not only death, but taking the keys of the holding place of Sheol and bringing all of his into new life. That's who Jesus is.
Amen.
He's the one who's worthy to open the scrolls.
Amen.
He's the one who brings the new days, the days where there's no more sin or death or tears or war. And that's who you met, and it changed you in an instant, didn't it?
That was my life change moment. That was, I'll ask Jesus in person, 10, 20, 30, Lord willing, I don't know, when I met him. So I will ask him, was that the time? But I think so.
I love that he presented himself to you as your bride. That feminine idea that you felt, because we're his bride, that tension. The Bible is very complicated. It's a very complicated document, and Jesus is very complicated. God is very complicated, and how he reaches out to people in such supernatural and amazing ways. He took this we're gonna end this segment soon, but this is what he did. He took a boy who dreamed of a life of freedom to become great and make money in a communist country. He took you from there. He brought you here through the witness of his body. He calls us his hands and feet. Through the witness of his body, he softened your heart. And then through the love of his people, he showed his face to you. And he showed himself as one who loves you and wants to be with you forever. And it changed you in an instant. You were shaking and crying and everything, weren't you?
I didn't. I didn't want to. I grew up with the doctrine that you cannot cry, because my father told me that, because that's a macho of manhood in Chinese thought.
Yeah, it's not macho.
It's not macho. So, however, the tears just keep more and more each year. I became less a man according to Chinese standard.
Jesus does not create warriors who fight with metal and things. He creates warriors who humble themselves and fight for the truth, which is that violence and hatred are not welcome in the kingdom to come.
Amen, brother. Yes. I would tell you that.
Thank you for this part.
Yeah. Is this bad end or?
Let's close this one out. We'll start the next segment here in a bit, but
sure.
To the listener, thank you for joining us. We hope that you've been enriched by this. This is part 1 of part 2. This is a series before we get into the New Testament of how we call it the New Testament, but really it's the new covenant that Jeremiah spoke of. And so the reason why we're doing this is because this is what the new covenant is about. It's about Jesus. It's about miracle. It's about God visiting men, not only in a spiritual sense, but in a body. And so that body was murdered, and that body also came out of that grave. And so thank you for joining us. If you'd like to reach out, please do. modernmind modernmindancientbook at gmail.com. Stay tuned for part 2. It's coming soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Shalom.